tea manufacturers. But in that sort of Whig thinking, skeptic of power, skeptic of anything, because we've already had the Sugar Act, we've had the Stamp Act, we've already had these things. This Tea Act might seem as conciliatory, but really all they're trying to do is gain more power, take away our liberties. Right? That's the talk that's happening with this Tea Act. And so, as we know famously, the Boston Tea Party, they threw the tea in the harbor. By the way, there were other incidents very similar. Sometimes they didn't throw the tea in the harbor, they just prevented the ship from coming in that had the tea. But it's after this, the British have sort of had enough. They increase the amount of soldiers who are in Boston as a result of this. They issue several acts that collectively we call them the Intolerable Acts. They call them the Coercive Acts. And this is also where the Quartering Act came in at. And you have basically Boston on lockdown. But now Britain is going to say that until you guys pay back for the tea, it's sort of like what you might do to your kid. You're not coming out of your room until you've done this, learned this lesson. Until you guys pay for the tea, Boston, you're on lockdown. Once again, they send a circular letter out. Hey, this has happened to us. You can have the rest of the colonies. Incidentally, the 13 colonies had tried to get some of the other North American colonies involved in all of this. They just chose not to. So there was attempts to even get Quebec to join this, and even some in the Caribbean. But it was just the 13 colonies. They now, what had eventually, it was originally a Stamp Act Congress, now you start to see the development of the Continental Congress. Meetings to discuss what's happening in Boston, where to proceed from there. Now, even at this point, even though there's a lot of sort of Whig talk and all this, not everyone's just willing yet to give up, right, the relationship. Because some still held, long-term, feelings of being British and all this kind of stuff. But you are seeing a pretty intensive movement of patriots. Now, there were some people, incidentally, who didn't care either way. They were apathetic. Whoever's in charge, I don't care, leave me alone. I'm on my farm, I'm doing my thing. I'm out in the backcountry hunting. I don't care who wins. Just leave me alone. I'll do the thing I've always done. But you did have some people who wanted to remain completely loyal to Great Britain at this time. So there were even colonists who were here. Regardless of some of these ideas that I was talking about, the tradition of the monarchy, the tradition of being British, was so strong that they would remain loyal. They were given the nickname Tories, because that was the other political party besides the Whigs. In England, they were called Tories because they wanted to remain loyal to Great Britain. Now, to sort of speed up to where all this thing happens. Now, most of you know Paul Revere's famous ride. Of course, it wasn't just him by himself. William Dawes was there as well, and actually a lot of other people were ringing church bells and lighting fires and all that to alert the Minutemen, because the British were trying to confiscate weapons and try to find John Hancock, arrest him. They were coming into Lexington Concord, where there was the showdown between the Minutemen, the volunteers, the militia, who was supposed to be ready in a minute, and eventually, similar to the Boston Massacre, there's the standoff, and someone, we still don't know who, there was even an attempt after the American Revolution to investigate it, but they never found out, someone fired. We don't know who it was, and it could have even been an accidental fire, because the type of guns that the British used, called the Brown Bess, were sort of known for that. But whoever fired that first shot calls the other people to start firing. Next thing you know, several militiamen are laying dead at Lexington, and this was dubbed the shot heard around the world, right, because of the impact that it would have. Now, the thing was about even the British commander was trying to restrain his men. Right? He even tells the militia, he says, listen, you just need to stop, right? Let's not take this any further. There was still sort of this idea of restraint. But after Lexington and the British were marching back, militiamen were coming all along the hills, firing along the way as they tried to make their way back into Boston. Now, later on, and for time's sake, where am I on time? That's about 10:52. I need to have time for questions. Okay. So, long story short, you get to the Congress, who decides to eventually do a Declaration of Independence. This is after, of course, an attempt to what we call the Olive Branch Petition, where we asked King George III, because some of them thought, hey, maybe the king is on our side, but Parliament isn't. We'll send out an olive branch. We'll say, hey, let's still work this out. King, here's the stuff we're dealing with. Here's the things that we disagree with that Parliament's doing. And of course, George III is completely on the side of Parliament. He basically says, all right, shut up and pay your taxes. All right, get in line. And at this point is the motion to declare independence. Now, for time's sake, I won't do it, but if you get a chance, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, you will see the ideas of Locke and the Whigs all over that document. Now, later on, when you do the Constitution, you can study Baron de Montesquieu, which really provides us the framework for the Constitution, but you will see Locke all over the beginning portion of the Declaration of Independence. Because in the Declaration of Independence, right, you say all men are created equal, right, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when he's writing this manifesto. And he goes on to say, he says, you shouldn't just break up with your other country and your king over, he says, light and transient causes. He says, but when there has been a train of abuses, then it's prudence, right? It's actually your duty, right? As a person who is in the image of God, has natural rights, to address those rights and even overthrow such wicked governments, and to be able to create new ones that exist to maintain those God-given rights. Sorry I went a little bit over, but would you do time for questions, or I don't know? I'm probably too long. Huh?
Just for the sake of time, you have questions? If you don't mind, I'm going to read this.
Oh, okay, yeah.